Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
Another former Sioux Falls police officer is facing child pornography charges. The investigation started with a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children last month. Court documents say Matthew Jock looked at sexual videos, including children, and shared them on Kick Messenger.
This comes after former Sioux Falls police officer Luke Schauer was arrested last week. Court documents say Schauer sent naked pictures to someone he thought was a 12-year-old girl. It was actually an undercover federal agent. KELOLAND News sat down with city leaders to talk about how to move forward. The mayor says rebuilding trust with the public will take time.
There's no one thing that we can do today that's going to say, hey, you have to trust us. You can trust us. Well, if I'm the public, I'm a little shaken on that, right now, based on the last couple weeks. Then that's understandable. But I would also add that there's not a day that goes by that department in Sioux Falls PD, as well as my office, is not looking for ways to continue to build trust in public safety in our community.
The police department has safeguards in place to help prevent these kinds of issues, but the mayor says the city will continue looking at its hiring practices to see if they can be improved. Parole was denied yesterday for a man convicted of raping a 2.5-year-old girl in 1996. 44-year-old Chad Hulls was sentenced to 50 years in prison for that crime.
This was the first time in front of the full parole board. One of his victims testified against his parole, saying he sexually abused many children in their neighborhood. Hulls was 19 at the time of the crime.
As I have stated in my letters over the years, Chad is very manipulative and the dangerous type of groomer.
Two other inmates sentenced in the 90s were also denied parole at yesterday's hearing. You can read about those cases right here on KELOLAND.com. Prosecutors are still deciding whether to seek the death penalty for the Scotland murder suspect. Francis Lang is charged with 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder.
He's accused of going into a home with a gun in November and shooting everyone inside. 3 of the victims died. This week, the judge extended the deadline to give the prosecutors more time to decide whether to seek the death penalty.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Adam Rutt. We're in for a warm but windy weekend, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. It starts today even with some pretty windy weather on the way across much of KELOLAND, not to mention milder temperatures as well. We do have a beautiful sunrise out there, though, with a view from our Falls Park camera. This is a view east, 25 westerly breeze, 6 miles per hour. So the wind is calm for now. 20s and 30s across much of the area, right around 20 toward Worthington, 36 though in Pierre, 35 winter, a pair of 3s up toward Aberdeen. And the wind is tolerable, but that's not going to be the case as we head later into the day. We're already starting to see that wind pick up in a couple of areas. Now we do have a couple of things to watch. A Clipper system which will come sagging down to the south, sending a cold front our way. And while there isn't a whole lot of moisture, there still is enough to put at least a little bit of snow on the ground, possibly up in the northeastern corner of KELOLAND. But the main reason why we have that winter weather advisory in effect is for blowing snow up towards Sisseton and Millbank, and then there's the wind advisory for much of KELOLAND beyond that. We do have more to talk about, including a lot of cold next week and some snow too. Meteorologist Brian Karstens will have more on that.
Thanks, Adam. Firefighters train for many different scenarios, including fires, medical emergencies, and even active shooters.
This week's training for the Rapid City Fire Department consisted of an injured police officer, while another officer is trying to catch a shooter in another room. The firefighters have to decide how to treat the victim while staying safe.
The training we did today was a little bit out of the norm from what we usually do. It was, an officer-involved shooting is what the scenario was, and it was just our job to come in, and it came in as a scene that was safe and then ended up being something we had to rapidly move out of.
Firefighters are required to do 240 hours of training a year, but the active shooter drill was not a requirement. A Dakota State University leader is being recognized on a national level.
Ashley Podorutsky is getting women and girls involved in cybersecurity. Now her story and a life-size statue of her is being shared in the new Women's Future Month display at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C.
There are a lot of talented women in cybersecurity, and I am honored to be part of the exhibit at the Smithsonian, and I'm thrilled that DSU and South Dakota is represented.
She continues to inspire girls to pursue careers in cybersecurity and technology through her Cyber program. That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, well, first of all, this headline for blowing snow will hit that hard here in the far northeast, including Webster, Britain, and Sisseton, also the Millbank area. This is connected to a blizzard warning that's in effect to our north. That's where the blowing snow issues are worse. Once you head north I-29, in fact, trying to get up on Interstate 29 north of Sisseton, not recommended with these wind gusts in eastern North Dakota today up to 65 miles per hour. That's a lot of wind, so we got to make sure we're aware of all that. Now, temperatures today, well, 40s and a few 50s. I think from Mitchell to Yankton to Winter, that's a pretty good belt of warming conditions here. But also notice on Futurecast, we've got a little bit of moisture here. Not really going to call out any significant amounts of rain or snow, but just a bit of moisture in the air kind of brushing through as this front passes. Tonight, colder temperatures, single digits above and below zero, East River. Much milder start to Saturday in western South Dakota. And then on Saturday, well, the warmth is back for the west for a day. And then into Sunday, I think Sioux Falls actually will squeeze out a really nice temperature, probably at least in the mid-50s. But then we put the brakes on that, and here comes the cold and the snow. Now, the best odds of shoveling snow on Monday are going to be in the northern half of KELOLAND. Some of this really showing up places maybe like Watertown, Redfield. We'll kind of watch an enhanced, maybe a 50-mile wide band of snow. We've been getting pretty good consistency on that signal north of Sioux Falls. And then farther south, residents in southern KELOLAND may get a better opportunity for at least some snow into Tuesday. Obviously, we're replacing the milder air with some cold conditions. How cold? Well, how about 20 below normal at least? That's the way we're looking at this forecast. We've got temperatures today, 51 Mitchell. Let's wrap it up on your 7 days, and it's kind of a tumble here once we get to Monday. Now, we do have pretty good chances of snow in Sioux Falls. I would say into Tuesday is probably the best shot. Some of the modeling average right now is coming in about 2 or 3 inches. We'll see how that unfolds with that temperature getting colder. Sometimes it's easier to get snow with that. Also, I think Aberdeen's a good candidate to getting a fluffy coating of snow. Could be a few inches of snow, and you know, anything over a couple of inches, and boy, that's going to have an impact on temperature. Already, we're forecasting 20 below zero on Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, and it wouldn't take much for Pierre to be close to that level as well. We just need to monitor how much snow we can get. You've had 1.7 all winter. So this 7-day forecast, I think it might be safe to say we're going to beat that whole winter total in just 7 days, and probably in the course of Monday and Tuesday. Now, we look at Rapid City, same thing. We're not avoiding the cold. So take in the 50s this weekend and get ready for real winter that's finally waking up and arriving. Check out details at KELOLAND.com and have a great weekend.